restaurant?
I don't think they
Right?
say.
Are you with,
Second.
how do you say that?
Opsel.
Yeah.
On.
Okay,
So-
and because then.
Call roll, please.
Yeah.
Gehring,
Yep.
Schoenwald,
Here, Grant.
Jaden,
Here.
Elizabeth Waltner,
Here.
Charlie Waltner.
Present.
Minutes of the February 21 meeting.
Move to accept.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Vouchers and salaries.
Do you want to withhold that one or not?
The only one I questioned was Canodal, if that was part of the cap we had or not, but we can look into it, and then if it isn't, we'll just have to bill it back.
Here's what we'll do, is let us approve them all. I have line item veto. If it's not what it's supposed to be, I've got 10 days.
I'm fine with that.
Is that suitable?
Yeah,
Or pull it out, I mean, I don't care. I'm just,
Motion approved.
second.
Schoenwald,
Yes.
Jaden,
Yes.
Elizabeth Waltner,
Yes.
Charlie Waltner.
Yes.
Gehring,
Yes.
and financial report.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Jaden,
Yes.
Elizabeth Waltner,
Yes.
Charlie Waltner.
Yes.
Gehring, Schoenwald.
Yes.
Okay, clothing allowance. We have a new employee. I think you should all have in your packet. We really don't have everybody to give, concerning Mr. Rupp. We've kind of taken care of this at need.
So we have done this in the past, or we've not, for city workers?
We've done, yeah, it's been kind of hit and miss. I mean, yeah. I don't, hit and miss, I guess is the word I was looking
We've talked about it before, and somehow we've never ever defined it real clear, have we?
Well, if you put a yearly dollar amount, it's gonna get used whether needed or not, which, you're trying to protect yourself by not putting it in and taking it on every time. So, you have, I think you have in your packet what the handbook says, and that is if we want them to, wear certain things, then
Do we have requirements for that role?
yeah, it would be up on top of, basically, no tank tops and so forth. You want to, I remember we bought one employee boots. We bought the police, we spent a ton of money there. So if you want to give them $200-300, and I'm not,
Well, I could see requiring like if you required like a steel toe boot for something, or like safety
yeah.
apparel, but
I don't,
And there's a big difference between outdoor, people who are working outdoors and people who are
Sure.
working indoors.
yeah, or like a heavy like Carhartt coat kind of thing.
Dewey, do you have any input on this?
Used to always be, we pay $250 and you guys pay $250. It's always been what we've always went by. If we bought shirts for $100, we pay $50 and you guys pay $50.
Oh, okay.
Is that,
Up to $250.
Up to $250 a piece.
Which by now is probably a little low considering how everything's inflated.
Not really, we get a lot of our stuff from Springfield, and their prices are pretty darn good.
How's it?
We go out and get our own quotas on that.
I looked at the price sheet, I'm gonna go buy stuff from there. That's that stuff
any
is,
good?
yeah.
They got all our Freeman logos
really
on it
cheap.
and all of that.
Is everybody in agreement with the, to handle Mr. Uptown line?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
Okay.
I mean-
Don't know that
It
we
needs to be
necessarily-
wrote down somewhere, though.
But we,
What's that?
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be
but-
good to actually define it instead of just every time we do this.
Yeah, but there's definitely a difference between what should happen with police force and ambulance and indoor, like in the library, you know, it's a different kind of.
Right, I would say this
Art.
is specific to like the guys working outside. No, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
How do you want it? You want a resolution, Charlie, or do you just, just tell Mr. Rupp? I don't know that I want it on that. We're gonna take care of it at need, is basically what we're saying, right? Every case comes up.
What do you think, Charlie?
I think we should do it as a resolution to show
Wanna
that
do
we
it as
did
a
it, we're spending
resolution?
the money and that,
That's fine.
but that defines
I'm
it.
done.
That next time we can always look back in the minutes. I'll make that I'll make that a motion.
And that you're gonna look back on,
Yeah.
And every time. Charlie
Every time,
went back.
I'll look back. I'll have to do the.
okay,
earmarks.
that's fine. Your
But I make a
resolution
motion
is
to
to go
do
50/50.
50/50 up to 250.
I'll second that.
It's just better
We
than
need to specify what city workers.
For outdoor city workers.
outdoor city workers.
Full-time.
Yes.
Got all that?
All right, yep, got it. All right, Elizabeth Waltner,
Yes.
Charlie Waltner,
Yes.
Garing,
Yes.
Schoenwald,
Yes.
Jaden.
Yes.
Okay, we've got Todd and Chad, Todd Graver and Chad Rumbold here. They want to talk a little bit about the golf course. So I'm sorry, you got to stand up. Or sit and hold the mic, it's up to you.
Okay, I didn't know we'd be back this quick, but I'm not going to spend a lot of your time on all of this, but this sheet is the 2023 recommended, I guess, decided upon by the golf board, rates, dues, fees, whatever you want to call them, for 2023. The first column is what we were charging last year. Anything highlighted is what we changed, so you don't have to look so hard to see.
Okay.
And let me interject here.
Okay.
We did not put this we failed to put this on the agenda, so you're getting it now, you can look at it, and we'll have to vote on it the 21st.
I guess because it wasn't on the agenda, you
Yeah.
can't act on it until you,
We've always had a resolution,
Yeah.
correct, to approve the rates.
so you got the numbers, you can look at them.
No, I don't have it. Does everybody have it?
Yeah, I thought she emailed it to you.
Then there's this sheet, which I put together every year. I always go out in surrounding courses to see what they're charging. Some of them have changed numbers, so I'm assuming that's 2023 numbers. Some haven't. They may not change their numbers. Any place there's a blank, they don't publish those numbers. And then I just highlighted who the cheapest ones are, the least expensive courses, or what they charge for each of those items. And you can look at that at your leisure, and if you so choose. Second page, where it says 2023 dues and fees estimated income. What I did, you'll see a column there with these numbers. Those are numbers I get from Lisa. Those are what she calls hits on the cash register out there. So, for example, the first line, 9 holes green fees, there were 900 punched-in items at the golf course till, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. So I just brought those across and used those. So if everything play-wise was exactly the same in '23 as it was in '22, you can see on the back page, that's a difference of about $16,000 just off of what we're changing, the rates, dues, fees, whatever you want to call them. So hopefully we'll have more play and then it'll be more than that, but,
Yeah, but expenses are up all over too, so
yeah, and who knows, you know.
who knows where you're gonna end up.
We could have a short season because of weather, we could have a blow-up season because everything goes perfect, you know? That's why I stress estimated on there, it's just to kind of give you an idea, if everything stayed exactly the same, just by raising some of those numbers, would generate about $16,000 more income. So, and I'm not gonna, like I say, spend all your time going line by line and doing that. You can look at that when you want, if you want. That's kind of all I have on numbers part of it. I don't know, what you want to do with the rest of it. You
No,
want
go
me to-
ahead and explain what you found.
Okay.
And,
John and Neil went to Sioux Falls today, and they got those Toros out, got them started running, drove them. I'll be honest with all of you, I was a little disappointed in the cosmetic appearance of them, but they're 17 years old and get run in the summer by a lot of kids, and, you know, our Cushman was no cream puff either, so, you know, they don't look like new by any stretch. The seats are shot, there's some duct tape on some fenders, but they said they did all run good, operated well. The only problem was there was a weak clutch in one of them, but Midwest Turf agreed to supply a new clutch and whatever it takes to put that clutch in. That would have to get done here. They weren't going to take it to Omaha, put a clutch in it, haul it back up here and sell it for the same price. So they're going to supply all the material, and in compensation for that, they're going to give us a new seat for one of them. We negotiated a new seat out of the deal at least.
So
That's
we
a
have,
great fortune.
But,
we'll get the parts though.
yeah, they're going to supply all the parts, materials. The mechanic up there said they're really pretty easy, quick to put in, it's not a big deal, so. The parts are more, of course, than the labor would be, and like I say, we did get them to throw a new seat in for one of them, so that kind of offset that. So, we agreed to take them. I just got back from Sioux Falls, but I was told they were to be delivered to the city shed at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And they were delivering them for free, so there was no other expense to that. So, for now, that's a done deal. We'll see how it goes. Cross the fingers, hope they don't. None of them were smoking blue smoke or knocking, banging or anything, so they said
That's next week.
That's next week, yeah.
Sign it.
Mr. Optimistic.
Yeah, you know, when you buy used 17-year-old
Never know.
stuff, you just don't know. You just don't know. And that's something I was just gonna throw out, and I know, I mean, something to think of, you know, to possibly look at is maybe trying to budget some money ahead at some point or over a period of time and starting to lease this stuff. I mean, you're spending a tremendous amount of money in labor fixing this stuff all the time. I know they don't break their hours down by fixing versus mowing or digging holes or whatever, but I know John and Neil too spend an awful lot of time with wrenches in their hands fixing stuff, so that gets expensive too. You know, where if you could get to a point where you could start leasing stuff, you're not gonna have all that repair cost and input into it. Now, I don't have any numbers for leasing. This is just a throw it out there, food for thought, kind of go from there. But I think it's something in the long run would be a lot better than buying old stuff or even the old stuff we already have and just, you know, have to keep fixing and repairing all the time. Takes a lot of time. So the Toros are here. Do you want to talk
Yeah,
about
go
that
ahead.
one?
Then
Okay.
We'll leave it
Okay.
there, and then we'll go into exec and finish.
I didn't get a chance to look and see where the last bid on it is, I think the last time we looked was 3,600.
Yeah, that's the last I saw.
Okay. There is a reserve on it, and we're not even close to that yet. We did talk to Kirk from Midwest Turf this afternoon when he was up with those toros, and they don't sell Jacobsons, but he said these are really hard to find, and they're very, very good moors. He said they're just almost impossible to find them in any condition. He said they're very well built, they're very good moors. The only problem with them is with those bat wings, you've got to be careful that you don't go running into stuff all the time because you can damage those decks. Now the new moors have some kind of breakaway system on them where if you hit something, it doesn't cause near the damage, so.
We just take that out of your check, and it'll be fine, right?
Yeah. Get it in writing.
Like the little slower around the tree.
Yeah, I mean.
It's at 3,900 right now.
39, okay. I don't know what time it ends, it's tomorrow,
It's tomorrow.
but with Weeman's, the way they do theirs is, it could be the last 30 seconds of the auction, and you put a bid in, it extends that auction for, I think, another minute or 2 minutes.
Really?
So every time somebody puts a bid in at the end, it keeps extending that auction.
Wow.
So you can't wait for the last second to go up by $1.
You can.
But it'll have another minute.
It'll add another minute, so hopefully nobody else does that too, but, so yeah, I mean, it could go for, 12 more hours if people are bidding on it. But I don't think that's gonna happen. You wanna talk about the numbers now, or you wanna do that?
As far as, well, yeah, and what we need to do, what we're gonna need to do is put a cap on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys think that it's
Well,
worthy.
I'd like to hear about the need for this.
Okay.
Is this something we need?
Yeah, this is a 9-foot wide rough moor with all the decks down. Currently, we're mowing with those 2 old John Deeres that were inherited from the city. Those are 6-foot moors. The one that had the cab on it is, and I drove it a lot last summer, is a beast. I mean, it's very near the end of its life. It's just, it's in very well used shape, so, this would could replace both of them, actually, but definitely the one. With the 9-foot cut instead of the 6-foot cut, you should be able to reduce the time taken to cut the rough. We've talked about rough mowers before. The first thing we had to get through was that greens mower. Do we put the money into that, and decided to put the money into it. We needed to put some money in the fairway mower. But other than that, those 2 John Deere mowers, we can't even mow the ditch with them. And there's some tee boxes you can't even mow around because they don't have the traction. They slide right down the side of the hill. This is a 4-wheel drive, so that would eliminate that problem. We had that other old Jacobson rough mower that we were using for ditch and to help out with mowing the roughs. That's the one we fixed last summer. Couldn't find a gear for it. So Jordan Helma welded it onto the shaft, and it worked for about a month, and it blew the weld. And so, unless somebody can find a part, and nobody was able to last summer, or just keep welding it all the time, if that's possible, that mower is done. It could be used as a parts mower for somebody. We could probably get a little money out of it if you wanted to sell it, but I don't see it getting fixed again. So, yeah, the rough is what takes the majority of time to mow out there. Of course, it's the most grass, and I don't know what the city would want to do or could do with those John Deeres. I think, Dewey, you said you could use one in town?
Yep.
So, we had no intentions of even talking to rough mower. this year until this came up. And you don't find this stuff in that kind of shape or condition very often. I don't know if anybody mentioned it, the mower itself has got like 2,900 hours on it, 29 something.
I was gonna ask if you know how many hours it had.
It was just south of 3,000 hours, but it's got a brand-new diesel motor put in it about 300 hours ago. And we were told that it's actually just been sitting for the last couple of years. They weren't using it anymore, and that's why they decided to sell it.
I believe there was paperwork on that too.
I think so.
It was owned by the city of Sioux Falls.
City of Sioux Falls owned it, and then this guy bought it from Marshall, Minnesota, and I don't know how many years ago, to mow a campground up there. And it's a small campground, and he said it was actually too big of a mower. It just wasn't worth trying to lift the decks all the time to mow around pedestals and all the stuff they've got there. So they went back to I think they went to a 7-foot mower or something, 6-foot mower. So they just didn't have any use for this one anymore. So we wouldn't even be talking about it had this not come up. And Chad can give you a better idea.
How much did it cost new?
One of these, depending on how you hook it up, I mean, you could probably spend up to 110,000 on them. I would say a bare bone one is 90,000 probably, maybe even more than that. It's somewhere between 90 and 120, because you can cab these, and there's different things you can do with them, but about 100 probably. And so the thing about, I made some calls today, because I still have some friends that are in equipment sales, golf equipment sales, and I called a couple different people and asked them specifically about this. And we got a couple things going for us on this one. Number one, it's not in a golf specific auction. So if you put, there are auctions out there, especially on the coast, where it's just golf equipment. And when you get in that situation where it's a bunch of golf courses bidding against each other, these things are going to go significantly higher. Where because this is at Weeman's, we're probably bidding against some farmer that has 7 acres, that he wants to have a bigger machine to cut his yard. So we're not competing with golf courses. The other thing that was good about this one is the fact that it was owned for most of its life by the city of Sioux Falls, which has mandated maintenance schedules. So that's a good, you never know with a used piece of equipment, but that's a good previous owner for, if it's, I don't know, it's 2007, so we're looking at, is it 15 years old?
Yeah.
So 13 of those years, I think it was under the city of Sioux Falls, which is good. And I went back and I looked at some comp machines, sale prices and things, which I don't think we're going to talk about that a little later maybe. So I got some comp numbers and some estimates from some people who are still in the field in this business. So I've got a decent idea of where we think it could potentially land as a sale price. But it's a good machine. Because I mentioned when we had that last meeting, I said, well, we don't have to get a golf-specific machine to mow the rough, because I said at that meeting that those rough mowers are the most expensive piece of equipment that you can buy. So a lot of golf courses stay away from the golf-specific pieces simply because they are far too expensive. So the fact that there's a 9-footer that's designed for golf courses, I mean, if we can get into this for the right money, even if it maybe wasn't on our radar or our schedule this year, we may not see another 9-foot golf-specific piece for sale in our area for a while. So if we're inclined, it might be a decent piece to take a shot at.
So is this a typo here? The motor was replaced in 2011? That means the first 4 years it got 2,300 hours, and the next 11, 300 hours. So why did they quit using it?
Yeah, no, that must be a typo. Because the way I understood it was that, and John Butkus called the guy that owns it, and the way I understood it was the motor was put in about 300 hours ago.
I thought it said in there
Well,
at
that is
20.
right.
Yeah, that's,
That would
It's
still
what-
check out, it just, we don't know how.
The hours would check
the
out, but you
hours-
got a lot of years there that isn't being used for very much while.
Yeah, we.
I mean, when you go buy a truck and you find a nice, good deal on a used truck that's got low mileage, there's a reason.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if that, when we went over and looked at it, we looked at the oil filter on it, and the guy had actually written the date, or the hours, the date, on the oil filter that it was serviced, and he had it serviced at Midwest Turf in Omaha. And that told me that it's probably been sitting for 2.5 years, that they didn't use it. Which is probably why it's on the auction, because there's another piece of equipment sitting around they weren't using.
When did he purchase it, did he say?
He might have told John, but John didn't tell me. I could call John, see if he did.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was curious of why
Mhm.
the first 4 years had 2,300 and the next 11 had 300.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's not the case. That would, I don't know if you could actually, boy, you'd have to be mowing
A
an
lot.
awful lot to put those
But
on.
there's a lot of golf courses around. so
The
who
city of
knows?
Sioux Falls could do that with their parks, though.
Yeah,
That could be a 7-8 hour a day machine.
on one more every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was my understanding, that the guy bought it from City of Sioux Falls, used it for a year or two or whatever, in the campground, and they just decided it was just too big for their purpose, so,
It's big, you gotta have a use for it, it's a big mower.
well, there's a lot of grass out there, a lot of
Oh, I
acres to mow.
understand that, you don't
Yeah.
buy it for a little campground,
Well,
like by Salem.
Yeah, no, you'd be spending more time dodging stuff than mowing. But Kirk kind of threw a number out there, he said if you can get it for less than that, it's a steal for that more, so. And he knows his equipment too, that's what they sell.
And that is the intention, that we'll discuss more specific numbers, not
Yeah.
live.
Right. Yeah, because this is basically negotiation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okey-doke.
it seems like a good idea.
So other than that, that's all I got for you.
So basically, other mowers, one is on its way out, you're saying, and the other one is okay, but
I wouldn't say that.
I think that,
You wouldn't say it's on its way out, or you wouldn't say it's okay?
Our two mowers out there, I wouldn't say they're on their way out.
That one is pretty
the
tough.
Jacobson is a,
He's talking to John Deere's.
Yeah,
but the other one, is that a turf cat?
yeah, that's the one that's got the gear that we can't keep.
That's been there for,
yeah, that one, I'm referring more to the John Deere.
John
not
Deere's.
the-
Mhm. Yeah, they'll mow, I mean, there's,
But you could mow a lot more with this than those two, because you,
Well,
right.
you're gonna do way more with this than.
Right.
And like I say, the big problem is we don't have a lawnmower out there right now we can mow the ditch with.
the John Deere's can't
No,
mow,
they'll,
they'll slide in.
yeah,
This won't?
four-wheel drive, it better not.
No, these things will go on like 20-degree slopes.
There's times out there, if the grass is wet or even just damp,
You just go-
on some of those tee boxes, you can't even mow around them because they just keep sliding
Pulling
off
down.
on you. Then you start tearing up the
Yeah,
grass.
yeah, that's
and-
not good.
Yeah,
That's one of the main differences between a commercial piece and a golf-specific piece,
Mhm.
is terrain.
They're designed for a golf course, where,
For terrain and, yep.
okay.
Any other questions?
Just to let you know, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Rory today, but he's working on getting the clubhouse going, getting his help lined up. He's working with his wholesalers, or whatever you want to call them, for prices, because we're probably going to have to print new menus again this year, with what the cost of food is.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
I hope you do that rather than go in the hole, so.
yeah, no, we did that last year. We did that last year, and they actually, pretty noticeable increases, and I was worried that people were gonna scream and holler, but didn't seem to affect anything.
Wherever you go, it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking to go get something to go. I mean, it's just,
Well, like
you know,
McDonald's,
two sub sandwiches for,
$25.
yeah.
Well, thank
I
you
know.
for putting the
Yep,
numbers
you
together.
bet.
It's nice to have those comparisons for
Mhm.
areas, so.
And like I say, some of those are estimates too, because I can't tell if they're numbers for the coming year, numbers from last year, or maybe it won't make any difference, but at least it gives us an idea, you know.
Yeah, you can't predict it.
We don't feel like we need to be the cheapest, but we don't wanna be on the high side too much either, because we got a good start on drawing in out-of-town people last year, so we don't wanna lose any of that either, so we gotta be kinda careful and try to stay in the middle.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Carol, go ahead.
Okay, there's a page in your packet about a current grant opportunity available through AARP that could provide for approximately 10 commercial steel black benches that could be placed on Main Street, by City Hall, other city properties. I would go ahead and write the grant. By no means are we assured that it would be awarded, but FCDC would be the submitting entity on the understanding that the city would accept those to be placed on property. So if there's a motion for the council's approval for FCDC to move forward with that grant, and then allow them for placement, they would be basically gifted to the city then.
And then there's a line about storage?
I think the intent would be,
Right.
if they're on Main Street, we want them off the street so that way.
Right, and we did check with different city people, assuming that there would be space available in the Quonset or wherever to store those to make snow removal and everything easier as well.
Yeah, and I
Are you
think they look
thinking
really.
on Main Street, or are you thinking the parks? Or
Well, it's mostly, when the streetscaping team met, that was one of the things they had wanted to do. And then, of course, everything cost, quite a bit more. The idea with this is for people over the age of 50 to be able to enjoy social interactions, shopping interactions in our downtown district. We have a lot of volunteers at the Et Cetera shop. We now have space out here where we don't have the bushes anymore. So mostly for placement in 200, 300, 400 blocks of Main Street, just depending. And it's possible that some could be at the swimming pool park. We know that the market at the park on Wednesdays is a great social time too. So it's not necessarily set in stone, but they would be property of the city.
They could be used at multiple places. on
Right,
city
right.
property.
And you'll notice there are, some of them, those are examples of what we'll probably go with, just depending on shipping charges and availability when we actually order them. The value is approximately $1,000 each. And some have places where you can bracket them down. We certainly would not want to drill anything into our sidewalks, so we wouldn't be looking at that. And those attachments are extra anyway, so they may or may not include that feature.
I think that's a really good idea.
Thank you. I bet you have a motion to that effect.
I don't see a problem with it either.
I don't see
Okay.
why benches would be a bad thing.
I second her motion.
I'll make a motion to accept these benches.
Right, for FCDC to move forward with a grant application that could result in benches to be used or become property of the city of Freeman for placement on, I think we have
Yeah.
I think we have something written to that
First and a second.
effect.
You
All right.
call roll.
Okay.
Gary,
Yeah.
Schoenwald,
Yes.
Jaden,
Yes.
Elizabeth Weltner,
Yes.
Charlie Weltner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lonnie, do you have anything? Mr. Gearing?
No, I should because Blaine's not here, but no.
Elizabeth?
Your only hope.
I guess,
We'll be over.
we have street signs coming in. When are the new street signs?
Yeah, when are they coming?
I've got to check with Jason tomorrow.
I'd rather wait till after the snow's all moves, because they're gonna get hit yet before
I know, I
somebody
was
saw
just
it.
gonna
Just
say,
wait.
we'll just have to.
I know it's going to be sometime in the spring, though.
Well, don't they put them up?
Replace
Yep.
some that.
Yeah, they put it up, but it's just right now, and they don't even got it up yet,
Well,
right?
they ain't gonna be out now.
Ground's too,
They won't be out now.
No.
ground's frozen.
I don't think so, but anyway.
Do we get new posts
Making
too?
clutter there.
Gotta get them square ones,
Oh, well, okay.
big signs.
So they'll maybe be standing straight more than the ones that are leaning half the time?
Well, until the wind blows.
That's it, just making sure we end up with our stop signs replaced.
Do we? Nope. I need a motion to go into executive session.
Move to go into executive session. Well, let's talk about next meeting first. Next meeting, 21st?
Yes.
Of the month, March, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's on our next, and then
I'm sorry.
I move to go into executive session. Personnel and contract negotiations.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Dewey, you can stay too. Dewey, you can stay too.
Get back here.
Julie!
Dewey!
We'll send the police after you.